If you watch the ABC sitcom Modern Family, in 2014 they released an episode in which Jesse Eisenberg played someone who practiced extreme environmentalism that he came across as passive-aggressive with his neighbor Mitch, here portrayed by Jesse Tyler Ferguson. He ran his house on solar power, and that's good, but he also shamed Mitch for using his air conditioner a little bit too much and for simply watering his lawn. He was being a good person for the earth, but he was not a good neighbor. No matter how much he did for the environment, guilt-tripping neighbors was not going to help his case in saving the earth. Environmentalism is a collective movement. We alone can't save the earth that we all share. So, if you want to be a good person that takes care of the environment, it is just as important that you be a good person to others. Last summer, I went back to my home country, Indonesia, to take a look at a farming village that utilizes cow manure to convert into biogas that they can use as cooking fuel. The schematics of it is pretty simple. First, you need cow manure, and then you need a container to put the manure in. The biochemical processes will turn the manure into gas that you can use for cooking. The people are very proud of this program because back then, cow manure was just dumped everywhere in the open and it can get uncomfortable with the smell. So then the village and the regional government worked together to address this problem. Now, with this biogas program, they can solve the odor issue in the village as well as giving way for clean energy. The residents can also save up costs because they don't have to buy gas anymore. This village is a success story of a community-driven environmentalism because it takes the support not only from the community itself, but also other stakeholders, such as the government and NGOs. First, when the local government decided to build a biogas program, they took their time talking to the community member about what it was, what are the benefits, and what it took to get the benefits. It's important to make sure the community understands the program well, because it is something that is initially granted by the government, but then the people are the ones making sure the program is running. They're the ones who own the cows, so then they have to take care of the biogas system in order for it to consistently produce biogas. Second off, the program is designed in a way that is simple to implement for the people in the area. It doesn't need all this fancy technology and expertise in biogas. So when the program is proved to be easy to do and gives them multiple benefits, it will be easy to get more people on board. Right now, they already have more than 35 houses using biogas, and it will keep growing. The most critical thing in sustaining this program is keeping everyone committed and motivated until it finally becomes a habit, a part of their daily lives. The village government is doing a good job in convening the neighborhoods for a monthly meeting, kind of like a homeowners association's meeting, where community members get to share their experiences in using biogas and resolve issues together. This builds a sense of togetherness and also motivates other families to participate in the program. Another cool thing that cannot be done without good community relationships is community-scale biogas, where one household has a lot of cows that provide biogas not only for their house, but also for their neighbors. And since the cows are only owned by this one house and the biogas unit is in their backyard, it is most practical that they are the only ones that take care of it, while the other neighbors get to enjoy the biogas for free. As you see, this has the potential for social issues with a free riding problem, which what happens when someone takes the benefit of a collective good without fair contribution. Free riding has proven to cause social conflicts in several case studies, where sustaining an environmental action that should have been a collective effort falls through because only some people do most of the work, risking failure in an environmental action. But that is not the case in the village I visited. I asked the cattle owners if they ever felt burdened by doing all this work that makes biogas that the neighbors can use without doing any of the work, and they told me that it's actually not more work than what they used to do before this biogas program. Because, as it turns out, the cattle tending work they've been doing has been pretty much the same, with biogas or without. So working on this does not cost them anything. And since it's not additional work, and since they're on good terms with their neighbors, they're not demanding incentives for providing free gas for their neighbors, even though they could. In return, the neighboring houses collect a monthly maintenance fee that is, as its name suggests, only used for maintenance purposes and not for the cow owner personal income. And they're all fine with it. And that's exactly why this scheme works. There are studies that examine social relations and environmental action. Schmidt stated that community is examined as the focal point for establishing a commitment to environmental sustainability, and therefore community dynamics play a central role in decision-making. So if you want to implement an environmental action in a community, it is most crucial that the community is not only informed but also actively participates in shaping that action. This is supported by a study by Tilbury and Workman that hands-on participation empowers a community to take responsibility to address local environmental challenges. In the case of biogas programs in Central Java, Indonesia, the regional government officials expressed that these programs did not work in some locations because the public was not actively engaged. Say, if you're given something for free from the government, you wouldn't say no to it, right? So then you have this thing, but then you don't know what it takes to make sure that this thing gives you the benefits that the government said you would get. Once things get hard, you realize you are not up for the commitment, so then it will be easier to just stop taking care of it and abandon it altogether. What the village government and other stakeholders are trying to do is to instill this sense of ownership of the program in the community, so that when they feel like they own something, they will be more committed in taking care of it. Community-driven environmental action also works when we use local wisdom in its implementation. A study claims that integrating local wisdom with appropriate technology has been proven to increase ecological awareness, strengthen social solidarity, and support equitable distribution of resources. And lastly, why should we all be good neighbors to each other? It's because behavior change is more likely in a cohesive community-based organization than in a divided one. In other words, in a tight-knit community with consistent social interactions, it is easier to influence its members to raise environmental awareness and take collective action. Another study claimed that healthy social relationships create altruism, meaning that the closer you are to your community group, the more selfless you get toward each other. This reduces the free riding problem, meaning that you wouldn't care as much about incentives for the things that you do for your group's benefit compared with if you do it for a group of strangers. However, community action alone wouldn't give as much impact unless amplified by the decision makers. Therefore, in a local setting, cohesiveness in a community is extremely crucial, including the relationship between the people and its leaders. At a larger scale, community cohesiveness can encourage collective action for environmental movements, community-based environmental planning, and reshaping the stigma of climate actions. And to achieve all this, we could start with one simple thing: just be good to your neighbor. Thank you.